Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, Karen doesn't realize I'm a citizen, tries to enslave wife and I with fake debts. My mother ruins my excitement for my abusive ex-boyfriend finally getting what he deserved because it's too depressing. Supermarket Karen 1. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen doesn't realize I'm a citizen, tries to enslave wife and I with fake debts. Story about somebody much more well off than I expecting me to meet their financial obligations while demanding that I falsify medical paperwork and commit insurance fraud while withholding pay. Basically, my wife and I had just immigrated back to the US and needed jobs and a place to stay. We thought we'd struck gold when a fabulously wealthy woman hired myself as a groundskeeper and maintenance guy and my wife as a cook and maid for her elderly parents. The pay was low, but part of it involved being able to live rent-free in the second house on the estate. The elderly couple were extremely senile, but still the sweetest old folks you can imagine. It was a really nice property, so for a few months everything was great. Then about 3 months in, my wife noticed the pantry, which was itself bigger than our living room, was not being restocked by the grocery delivery company that normally did these things. We contacted our employer, who flew into a rage that managing that sort of thing was our responsibility, so she had cancelled the delivery service without telling us. It became apparent that she fully expected us to notice and take care of it ourselves. When I asked her how she expected us to buy groceries for her parents when she didn't even tell us she had cancelled the service, she became extremely irate. Direct quote, "Then do I sign a check to each of you every week for?" Yeah. This bitch earnestly thought we should be using our personal paychecks, which were not very big, to pay for her parents' upkeep. After much deliberation, she grudgingly left us a credit card to go out and buy groceries for her parents, which added to our workload at no extra pay. But we didn't have anywhere else to stay and no other job lined up, so we just dealt with it. Well, another few months go by and she contacts us again. She wants us to sign something. The paperwork shows up and it's requests for medical documentation from an insurance company. The chick wants us to attach our timesheets to it, sign it, and send it back to the insurance company. Well, I read it and it becomes apparent she has elder care insurance to pay for live-in nursing services and has told them we are nurses so she can try to get them to pay our wages. I contact her and inform her that we have not provided medical care, are not licensed to, and will not fill out the paperwork. Mother of all shitstorms. Karen goes nuts, screaming into the phone about how much she has done for us and we owe her, how she will report that we are neglecting her parents, and then call immigration on us and have us deported. I don't think she ever realized I am a citizen and my wife immigrated legally. I tell her that what she is asking us to do is fraud, and that I'd rather get fired than arrested for a felony. I tell her she has 90 days to find a replacement for us and we will be moving out. Things devolve into her screaming about how much money she has and how she is besties with the cops and has a bunch of expensive lawyers to sue me with. I suggest she asks one of those lawyers how they feel about defending her for insurance fraud and hang up. My wife and I continue our services for the old folks while looking for a new place, because they were actually super nice and the situation wasn't their fault. They were also very senile, mistaking us for other people they knew, forgetting they had kids, etc., so they can't be held accountable for their daughter's behavior as they lack any ability to intervene. Then, instead of a paycheck, I get a bill for the last 8 months of rent and a note that she isn't paying our wages until we pay her back for everything we owe her. Plus interest. She had valued the rent of the second house provided in our contract at more than she paid us monthly, so we'd never actually be able to pay it off. Yeah. She actually tried to make us into indentured servants. So, without responding, I continue performing my duties, studiously keeping logs on our hours, and retaining all the receipts for how much more we owed her. 90 days go by without a paycheck. We purchased groceries using the card she provided, which she added to our debts. We document everything. About a week before the 90-day, we contact 2 government agencies. First, the State Department of Labor to report exploitation. Second, Adult Protective Services to inform them that an elderly couple that requires caretaking are going to no longer have caretakers and that their daughter has refused to provide it. Then we call her and inform her she is going to be receiving some phone calls from these agencies shortly and should probably contact her attorney. There was about a 60-second dead silence on the phone, then hysterical laughter, and she hung up. Okay. Not the response I expected, but *CK it, one more week and we're gone. 8 hours later she shows up in the driveway in a rental car. She bought a one-way plane ticket to come out to the estate and report us to the cops for trespassing on the property. This, of course, doesn't work because we have a tenancy contract, and if she wants us gone she has to utilize the legal eviction process. She then tries to claim we are illegal aliens, which a quick glance in our wallets at our IDs by the cops proves false. She is starting to shriek at them about if they know who she is or how expensive her lawyers are. The cops look that unique combination of irritated and amused that cops dealing with some dumb shit they aren't allowed to comment on get and advise her not to talk to us or attempt to enter or go near the guest house. She moves into their house that night and presumably takes over our duties. I would go out on the balcony every day for the week before I left to drink my coffee and smile as I stared across the big, luxurious lawn to see her standing in the picture window, arms crossed, glaring death at me. To make a long story short, the expensive lawyer she has convinced her to pay our back wages with additional interest for violating state labor laws by withholding them. Turns out trying to enforce actual slavery is still illegal after all, who knew? See? Her expensive lawyer can do their job perfectly. And she gets to pay for that privilege too. Thank you for telling your story. Not everyone knows their rights. Your story proves that having money and being a bully doesn't always work. My hope is that someone reading this will realize it shouldn't work in their lives either. I love it when the I have powerful lawyers gambit fails. She should have gone to jail. Elder abuse and neglect for not providing in-home care added to the other fraudulent stuff. My mother ruins my excitement for my abusive ex-boyfriend finally getting what he deserved because it's too depressing. Back in July of last year, my boyfriend robbed my neighbor for his iPhone and wanted to celebrate by essaying me in my own bed. After the incident, I gave the phone to the police and he came to my apartment to retrieve it. When he found out the phone was gone, he then pulled a hammer out of his pants and I had a panic attack. He then left the apartment and I finally went to the police and told them what happened. The police has a CSI take pictures of my apartment and take items from my apartment as evidence, including my bedsheets, blankets, and even my ashtray. My neighbors then heard about what happened and they told me they wanted him gone because of the way I was treated. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. 2 months later, I was investigated for the robbery and questioned on how I ended up with my neighbor's iPhone. I told him what happened and immediately the whole tone changed. 2 weeks later, I told the story of the assault and what happened with the hammer and they informed me of his warrants. I know that was a lot to say, but as of 2 weeks ago, he has finally been arrested. I'm absolutely ecstatic that his actions finally caught up to him, and after his trial, if it goes there, he will be out of my life forever. However, when my mother found out about his arrest, it started with her essentially slut-shaming me by saying, "I can't believe you slept with this jerk," after finding his mugshot. She also seemed rather ticked off about my feelings about being in jail, with her saying, "I know you hated him, but get over it. He's in jail now and you're depressing your friends and family." I'm sorry that the story of the first man I had genuine feelings for assaulting me is too depressing for you, but I've been waiting 15 months for this day. I've dealt with several mental health struggles because of his actions. I lost my job shortly after the assault and my mental health struggles almost led to me getting evicted. Let me enjoy this victory because that jerk finally got what he deserves. I'm so sorry your mother isn't being supportive. You are a survivor and have lived through a very difficult ordeal. I don't blame you for being happy he is now in jail. I'd be thrilled too. I hope things get better for you. You are a strong person and I wish you the best. Supermarket Karen 1. At the supermarket one day, in checkout line, not the self-checkout, a Karen in front of me says, "Excuse me, I forgot something." Well, line moved, I was next, where Karen was I don't know or care. So, I pushed her cart out of the way, people behind me helped. So, I'm being checked out by cashier and guess who comes back, and she finds her cart at the end of the line. She was screaming, "Who moved this?" I told her to find someone who cares. If she did, fine, but better things to do than put up with ignorant, entitled people. I had someone do this to me once, but she asked me very politely if I minded if she ran and got something she forgot. Because she was nice, I moved her cart when the line moved. I even placed one or two things on the conveyor belt before she got back. She was back in under 2 minutes with baby formula and apologized and thanked me over and over. I was happy I could help. But had she not been nice and appreciative, I would have done the same as you. You get what you give when it comes to me. I congratulate you on standing up to that Karen. I've forgotten items myself, but I would either check out or get out of line. My last trip to our now defunct Safeway went strange. The checkouts had the old turntable instead of a belt on which to put your purchases, and the guy ahead of me had dropped his shopping right in front of the till, where the disc emerged. The checker was begging for the previous shopper at length and hadn't turned it yet. The GAOM immersed himself in the magazine rack and didn't seem to care, so I finally took a divider stick and slowly, carefully, pushed his half-dozen, non-delicate, items partway around so I could unload the heavy basket digging into my arm. He turned when I was done and promptly swept every one of my items onto the floor with his arm. I couldn't believe my eyes. What the hell was the point of that? "You pick those up now," I said in capital letters. I'm a tall woman, and maybe that made a difference. I was expecting some drunken or deranged argument, but to my astonishment, he wordlessly bent and brought each item back up to the turntable under my glare. Fortunately, there was no produce or other vulnerable stuff, and we checked out with no further words or confrontation. I'm slightly jealous. I wish this would happen to me at the grocery store. I would have great fun with this. Nobody moved it, Karen. We moved our carts while yours stood still. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.